Hello everyone, welcome back once again. As promised, here is the first look at the new AI Replace feature included with the November 2025 update for PowerDirector 365 users. Speaking of the November update, apparently my video earlier this week that displayed the November update was made before the official release of the update. In that video, I mentioned that Cyberlink was 2 days early in releasing the update, which was labeled as version 1030. Apparently, that was not supposed to appear, and I got to download and install a pre-release version before it was quickly removed from the server and replaced with version 1029, which was not the November 25 update. As it stands right now, the official November release is out and it is version 1106. You can get it now off of the Cyberlink servers unless it has been replaced by yet another version. No wonder people were asking me, where the heck did I get version 1030? I'm getting kind of sick and tired of these updates every 48 hours or so. I just wish they would stick with one update and hold off on all of the bug swats until the next month. If not, I'm just going to start installing PowerDirector using Velcro instead of Windows. All right, let's get started. The new AI Replace feature introduced with the November update will surprise you in how simple it works with no particular skill being required by the user. Now let's take a good look at how this works. I'll go up to the Gen AI menu at the very top, and down near the bottom is where I can select AI Replace. The first time you open this feature, this window appears describing just what the AI Replace feature is all about. But I've already come across a small problem here. Now let's read the statement very carefully. It says, import an image, select an area, and then describe what you want to replace or add your images. I'll ask you to remember that last part about or add in your images because we'll be coming to that very shortly. You can now click on the Don't Show Again option if you want to, and then click OK to close this window. The relatively simple AI Replace window can now be seen where in the upper left corner, it is asking you to drag or import the source image. Under that are some sample images. The entire right side gives you some recommendations to follow, such as to make sure it is a distinct object that you will be editing. I'd like to draw your attention to the second recommendation that says to brush the entire object. Yet the image doesn't appear to show that, because the person's head is not being brushed over. The image is actually correct because apparently the intent there was to replace only the lower portions from the neck down, yet leave the original face. Alternatively, the entire person, including the face, could be brushed over, and a replacement could be any object, not necessarily a human. I'm going to pivot my attention over to the section that says Try with Sample Image. I'll click on the middle image with the apparent collection of cosmetics, which immediately takes me to the next AI Replace window. The first step is to decide what to replace in the source picture. In this case, I'm going to replace the pine cone. I'll then go to the upper left and click on the brush tool, which opens to the default size of 50, which you'll probably find is good for most of the time. I'll move the brush tool over the pine cone and click the mouse and drag the brush over the entire pine cone. You'll notice that I don't have to be perfectly exact, especially on this image, because the surrounding background is all a uniform color. But if I release the mouse without covering all of the interior part of the pine cone, then strange things will happen as the AI tries to somehow make that leftover portion blend in with the new replacement object. In this case, I'll just click the mouse again and brush over the complete pine cone. If I were to have a mistake here and maybe decided to brush over another object as well, I can use the right-angled undo button to go back. Control Z works just as well to go back multiple times. There's also the round left arrow, which will completely reset the image back to its original look. Now that I have completely selected the pine cone, maybe I want to replace it with a small image of my own face or maybe any other photo of an object that I have. Remember that introduction statement that I mentioned at the beginning? It said, and then describe what you want to replace or add in your images. I want to do that part that says add in your images. Where is that option offered? You might think it's referring to using my image to begin with, but that was already mentioned at the beginning of the statement when it said import your image. The answer is either that part is either missing at this time and might be added later, or the statement is incorrect and misleading. I really suspect that the statement is just incorrect and the last part shouldn't be there. If it allowed you to import your own image, then what parts of that image do you specifically want? It becomes a programming nightmare. For now, let's just disregard the part that says add in your own images. Instead, I'll add a description of what I want AI to replace the pinecone with. Any object such as a human body would even work. I could pick a tube of lipstick or a small compact case of makeup. Oh wait, I've got a good idea. I'll type it in now. GRENADE. And now, if I want to see it, it will cost me 2 credits. Wait a minute, I thought it said try now, and I assumed it might be a no-cost test where I wouldn't be allowed to download any results. Okay, I'm cheap, but why don't they just say something like use our sample images instead of your own, instead of try now? Well, before you get too mad at me, I did click on the generate button ahead of time, and here are the 2 results. Now, they're not really what I would call a grenade, but maybe AI is from one of those small Indonesian or Asian countries. Oh, wait, it is. Well, that explains everything. All right, let's try again. There is no start over button, so I'll close this window for now, and I'll restart AI Replace once again. This time, I'll drag over an image of an American bison close up to the camera. Now, once it's placed, I'll click on Continue. I want to replace the bison with something else. I'll select the brush tool and I'll start to brush all over the image of the bison. Notice that it is not that important to stay within the lines, so I have no need to switch over to a much smaller brush to do detailed work, such as around one horn or ear. Well, now that I've got it fully covered, I need to describe my replacement object. I'm going to type in large brown bear growling at the camera. And assuming I didn't make any typing mistakes, I can now hit generate. I've already done this one, and here is what the results look like. Look closely at the tall grass in front of the rear leg of the bear. It was all added by AI, as was the background grass between his front legs. Okay, I'm impressed. All right, I'm going to close this window and restart once again. Now this time, as is my usual fashion, I'm going to throw some weird and unexpected images to see how AI handles it. I'm going to drag over an image of the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco and then click on Continue. I'm going to replace a section of the blue sky in the far distant background. But first, I'm going to reduce the size of the brush down to around 10 or so. Then I'm going to draw a thin, cylindrical shaped area that is wider at the bottom. Over in the description section, I'm going to type just 2 words and pause long enough so that you can see exactly what I wrote. Well, there it is. Do you think it'll work? How will it handle the blue sky area? I don't know, and I have no idea where this is going to end up, but here goes nothing. I'll click on Generate. The AI takes about 15 or 20 seconds or so, and we now have our answer. There are 2 images created at the bottom, and holy cow, I am super impressed with each one. Each version of the Eiffel Tower fits on the ground perfectly, and each has the blue sky filled in around it, complete with clouds. I'll click on one of the images and then click the download to my library. Well, good job, Mr. AI. I take back everything bad that Ken ever said about you. All right, I'm having such a good time. Let's try one more, but something more ridiculous. I'll close the existing window and then restart AI Replace all over once again. This time, I'm going to drag over an image of a baby getting a diaper change. When it's there, I'll click on Continue. Oh, I can hear a bunch of you now. Baldy, where are you going with this? Well, the answer is really weird. Here, hold my beer. I'll leave the brush size at around 50, and then click on the brush tool, and I'm going to brush all over the baby's face and face only. I'll make sure I got it all covered, and I'm only going down to the neck area with this, being somewhat careful not to get any more of the body parts in there. Now, what should I type in for a description? How about the face of... I can't really enter what I want to, so I'm just going to chicken out here, and I'm going to enter the face of a werewolf. I'll click on Generate, and I'll wait for AI to do its thing. Well, it's not exactly what I was expecting, and the angle of the head seems to be all wrong. Maybe I'll change the description to read, "The head of a monster." The AI apparently still knows what area was selected, so I can change the description, and now the button says to generate more, not just generate. Well, of course, it cost me more credits, but here we go again. Well, after looking at the results, I guess beauty is in the eye of the beholder. All right, I know I've been a little ridiculous so far, so how about one practical application of this feature? I'll close and restart the AI Replace again. Now, this time, I'm going to drag over a picture in a 9:16 aspect ratio, and then I'm going to click on Continue. Now, everything is good about this picture except the manhole cover that appears off to the side. It just looks out of place in the picture. I want to replace it with either a small bush or a large potted plant. I'll select the brush tool and then cover up the entire manhole cover, being somewhat careful around the edge of the blue jacket. For a description, I'm going to type in the following: a large, tall clay pot with several tall and colorful red and white flowers growing out of it. Now, when done with the description, I'll click on Generate. Well, now, the results are in, and I think it's quite satisfactory. Maybe not perfect, but I like it. You have to be very specific in what you are describing, and I think the use of a lot of adjectives are needed. For example, not just a pot, but a clay pot, and a tall clay pot. And perhaps not just flowers, but red and white flowers. You get the idea. Basically, AI is brain dead, so you need to be very detailed and specific in what you want in the output. Well, imagine the fun and creativity that you can have with this. Go ahead and give it a try. You should have your monthly allocation of at least 100 credits, so you can do a lot of experimenting with this. I hope this video has been some help to you, so please subscribe and hit that like button. Thanks to everyone for watching. I'll see you next time.